What is going on, everybody? Crazy Dog back with some breaking Cleveland Guardians news for you guys on this Monday afternoon, as of course it is MLB trade deadline week. And when it comes to the Guardians, well, this situation's kind of interesting right now because you look at where they are in the standings. They are 8 games out of the lead in the Central. Now, to be fair, they did gain an insane amount of ground on the Detroit Tigers over the past week or so. But they've kind of ran into a little bit of a brick wall, and that wall was the Kansas City freaking Royals. I said before, that team always gives us trouble in Kansas City. It's kind of a different story when they play us in Cleveland, but when we go over there, you can almost guarantee that we're going to get walked off once. And sure enough, that happened in the very first game of that doubleheader. Now, to be fair again, the Guardians did bounce back with a nice win in game 2. And then yesterday, they just straight up looked downright flat. Like, damn. Couldn't even get one past Noah freaking Cameron. They had bases loaded in the first inning, nobody out, and they couldn't freaking score, man. Come on. Damn. Now, if you want to look for some positive, they are still kinda in the wild card race. Only 3.5 games out. And they got a series against the worst team in the majors in the Colorado Rockies coming up at home. Now, if you're wondering, what do I think the Guardians should do at the deadline? It's funny because heading into that series against Kansas City, I was all for them buying. I was like, go out, you add some solid pieces, and you make a run. But coming out of that series in Kansas City, kind of like, do a little bit of both, right? I mean, you look at our roster right now. You go out, you trade old man Carlos Santana because let's be real, he is cooked at this point. He's more or less a detriment to the team at this rate. I mean, how many times has that dude been at the plate in a big situation? And how many times has he come up big? A few. Like, he did draw that bases loaded walk in game 2 of the doubleheader. So that's good. But that's probably the biggest thing he's done since that series in Chicago where he hit the homer. I mean, at this point, he's more of a roadblock than an actual, a piece that could help. He's impeding the progress of Kyle Manzardo because Stephen Vogt just refuses to play him against lefties. Like Carlos has been any better. And then, of course, you have CJ Kafis rotting in the minors. He's raking, but nope, can't bring him up because we got old man Carlos Santana taking a spot. So I would trade Carlos Santana. I would maybe look at trading a guy like, God forbid, Shane Bieber. Maybe like Jacob Junis. Colby Allard maybe could fetch you something from a desperate team in need of bullpen help. But honestly, Jacob Junis would be an interesting one. Maybe Paul Sewald. Essentially, I could see the Guardians trading their impending free agents. Right? Because that's usually what you want to do. Now, in terms of buying, I'm not looking at any big names. There was one name that I saw in an article yesterday from Bleacher Report, Michael A. Taylor. That is the most Guardians trade target ever. He's making barely any money. And honestly, I mean, could he be worse than J-Rod? No. Nobody's worse than J-Rod. I'll take Michael A. Taylor coming off the bench. Now, I mean, if they want to be serious, of course, I've said like Cedric Mullins or Tommy Pham, Ryan O'Hearn. But no, that was before the series against Kansas City. Now, I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. I think Chris Antonetti is genuinely going to use this series against Colorado as the determining factor on what they do. if they go out and they put belt to ass on the Rockies, which they should, I mean, come on, the Rockies are ass. They're like the White Sox. They are legit the White Sox of the National League. If you lose this series, just sell. Sell, 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 sell. Like, not talking Stephen Kwan or, the core pieces, but just get rid of, like, the impending free agents and call up the kids. Which would be hilarious because we've been calling for them to bring up Chase DeLauder for months, and then, what do you know, he gets hurt. Of course. This time, no, it's his wrist, it's not his foot, so I guess that's a positive, but still. Now you may notice, of the names I mentioned, I did not talk about Emmanuel Clase. And there's a reason. Because just a little while ago, we got this from Jeff Passan. Of course. As if this season from hell couldn't get any worse. We got this crap. From Jeff Passan, and I quote, "Breaking. Cleveland Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase has been placed on non-disciplinary paid leave as part of MLB's sports betting investigation," sources tell ESPN. Clase is the second Guardians pitcher on leave tied to the investigation, joining right-hander Luis Ortiz. And as far as how long, Jeff Passan followed it up with this, and I quote, "Cleveland Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase's non-disciplinary paid leave is through August 31st, MLB said in a statement." So, yeah, he ain't getting traded. He's out for over a month. So, Cade Smith, you're the new closer. This is your audition. The way I see it, if Cade goes out there and shoves, they're going to trade Clase this winter. Yeah, I think they're going to do it regardless. But just the fact that this dude was legit looking like the best closer in franchise history, and then this comes out, like, are we serious right now? Now, we also did get this from the Guardians, and this is what they had to say, and I quote, "The Guardians have been notified by Major League Baseball that as part of their sports betting investigation, Emmanuel Clase has been placed on non-disciplinary paid leave per an agreement with the Players Association. We have been informed that no additional players or club personnel are expected to be impacted." As of now, of course, because you never know. "The Guardians are not permitted to comment further at this time and will respect the league's confidential investigative process as we continue to fully cooperate." Now, what's interesting is, when news came out about Luis Ortiz doing this crap, apparently, like, these betting sites were flagged to a couple pitches that Luis threw, right? Because apparently people were betting on first pitch ball or whatever. I haven't heard the same thing for Clase yet. So, was this dude straight up betting on games? Wow. Once again, risking your career for a couple $1 million is unserious freaking behavior, no matter the sport. Especially when it was looking like Clase could possibly get traded. Now, what's really going to kill me inside is seeing Ryan Helsley, David Bednar, Joan Duran, or any of these other closers on bad teams get traded for a haul. Meanwhile, we're stuck with a degenerate gambling closer who also took some roids in his days too. Lovely. I'm going to see Joan Duran get dealt for like a big ass haul. And I'm going to think, that should have been me. Damn it. That should have been us. Damn you. Never ends. Right? Never freaking ends with this team. As if the players regressing, the top prospects getting hurt, Stephen Vogt seemingly selling with his decisions, both pinch hitting and bullpen choices. Like, what is this dude's love affair with Matt freaking Festa? I swear. They need to check his brain. I think he got gonked on the head a few too many times as a catcher. Mm-hmm. Yep. He got CTE, brother. The way he be acting out there, his choices. Did Aaron Boone's brainworms rub off on Stephen Vogt? Like, I don't know what changed between last year and this year. Of course, it didn't help that we traded Josh Naylor and Andres Jimenez. Although, let's be real, Josh Naylor was or is a free agent after this year, and we weren't re-signing him. And Andres Jimenez's play was not living up to the contract. But still, they were fan favorites. The clubhouse loved them. But you know how the Dolans are. They don't pay people, and when they do, they usually suck. Look at Tanner Bybee. Look at this dude, man. We actually paid him. He's out here freaking throwing taters to people I've never even heard of. And it will never freaking end. I swear. Now, what's going to be even more hilarious is when Chris Antoinetti acts delusional and goes out and makes a few actually good moves, and then this fan base will be like, oh, they're going for it. And then we miss the playoffs by like one freaking game. That's something that would definitely happen. Mm-hmm. That would definitely happen. Yep. Or like we trade for like Ryan O'Hearn, gets hurt. Or Cedric Mullins, he stinks. Goes on a Lane Thomas-esque career arc. Minus the injuries. Just he sucks. I just don't know what to expect right now at this point. So if anything happens, obviously I'll be here making a video. If we buy, if we sell, whatever, I'll be here making a video for it. So we'll see what happens against Colorado. I'll be live in a few hours for game 1, and I'll most likely be live for all 3 games because it is deadline season and trades could happen literally at any moment. Heck, look at Lane Thomas. We traded for him last year during a game. I was live when we traded for Lane Thomas. You got my live reaction to that trade. I was like, oh my God, we got Lane Thomas. As if that was actually a big move. See us doing like a marginal move like that again. Not a big name, probably giving a middle to like low tier prospect, just somebody who's better than Jonathan Rodriguez. Because if we want to make a run at the wild card, that bozo is not going to help us. Let's be real. They're not going to call up dudes from the minors. And if you're not going to call up anybody, might as well trade dudes and bring in a solid hitter or 2. And if you're not going to make a trade like that, you better call up dudes. I'm telling you right now. If they legit do nothing, no sell, no buy, they just run it through, I'm going to start to have questions. Like, if you're not going to buy, then you sell. If you're not going to sell, you might as well buy. But if you do neither, then what the heck's going on with you? Like, if you're not going to buy, at least get rid of your impending free agents so then you can at least call up the youngsters and see what they got. But again, you never know with Chris Antoinetti. Depends. Is he delusional or not? Or I don't know. I think this series against Colorado will determine what we do. So, see what happens. But of course, I'll be live for the game tonight and the next 2 games as well. Hope to see you guys there. With that being said, let's go Guards. I'm Crazy Dog, and I'm out. Bye-bye. Yeah.